Alrighty guys, we are going to continue our reading of Lila and Hadley by Kody Keplinger. We have read chapters 1 through 4 and we're going to do chapters 5 and 6 today. So remember, we have Hadley here and they finally got Lila home with her sister Beth, and Beth is like, okay Hadley, are you going to get out of bed today? Or maybe you're going to, I thought you said you were going to train Lila, and if we don't train her, she has to go back, right? And Lila's like, okay, maybe I'll think about it, right? So let's see how it continues. So we're on chapter 5. Find a cozy spot and let's continue. Chapter 5. The next day I actually rolled out of bed and put some clothes on. I ain't doing it for Beth, though she's been trying to coax me into getting out of the house for days. Nope, I'm doing it because I know Mrs. McGraw will be here any minute and I'm gonna need an excuse to get away, or else she'll want to talk to me for an hour. Come on, Lila, I say, grabbing the leash. Beth had hung on the hook by the door. I hadn't used it on Lila yet. Beth says she's only slightly leash trained, and I've mostly been letting her out into the backyard to pee. But if I gotta leave the house now, so does she. She doesn't come to me right away. She just lifts her head from where she's lying on the living room floor, stares at me for a minute, then looks away. Nice try. I march over to her and hook the leash to her collar. Now come on. I give the leash a tug. She doesn't move, and I sigh. Do you want to be stuck here with Mrs. McGraw when she comes over? If I ain't here for her to pester, she's gonna focus on you. Logically, I know Lila can't understand what I'm saying, but it sure seems like she does, because that gets her to her feet. Good girl. Sure enough, we're halfway to the door and there's a knock, and Miss McGraw's voice calls through the door. Hadley, it's Miss McGraw. I bought you some leftover casserole. I pull open the door with a grimace. What's a grimace look like? Ugh. I don't understand why grown-ups always bring casserole to other people's houses when really I don't think anyone actually likes it. Luckily, it's barely 10 in the morning and I've had breakfast, so I got an excuse not to eat the stuff. Hi, Mrs. McGraw, I say. She's already stepping past me and the dog's making her way to the kitchen. Lila and I are going for a walk. We can't stick around to chat right now. Oh, that's lovely, Miss McGraw says. I'll just put this in the fridge then. Maybe Beth can heat it up for y'all for dinner. I hear the refrigerator door open and shut, and then Miss McGraw is walking back into the living room. She wipes her hands on the thighs of her oversized denim overalls, just adjusted her steel gray, and before she adjusting her steel gray bun. I'll come with you on that walk. No, that's okay. I'm trying really hard not to snap at her, but the idea of her coming with us, hovering over us, talking to us, I want to get out of the house to avoid talking, not to do more of it. Lila and I are just going to go on our own. Well, I don't know, Hadley, Miss McGraw says, and now she's using that gentle, concerned voice that I hate. I ain't so sure that's safe. Beth told me about your sight and all. I'd feel better if I went with you. I don't care how you feel. The words leave my mouth before I can stop them, but I can't really say I feel bad either. I'm not 5, and I can see fine. I'm just walking the dog around the stupid block. I don't need you or want you to come with us. I ain't real good at seeing facial expressions most of the time, but even I can see the shock on Miss McGraw's face. Her jaw drops open and she lets out a little gasp. Well, my word, she says. Hadley, that is an awful ugly way to talk to somebody. I have half a mind to tell your sister. Go ahead, I mutter. Let's go, Lila. I tug the dog out the door with me, and she follows, leaving Miss McGraw in Beth's living room. Beth's gonna be real mad at me when she gets home, but I don't care. What's she gonna do, ground me? Make me go to my room? Those are all rewards, not punishments. My old house was out in the country. We never really had neighbors, not any within a mile or two at least. We were surrounded by cornfields on all sides, and you had to drive to get just about anywhere. Beth's neighborhood is different, though. She lives in what I figure must be a suburb. I've heard that word used on TV, and while the houses did seem smaller than the ones in the shows I've watched, the rest seems pretty similar. The yards ain't too small, but they ain't big either. And lots of them are surrounded by wooden or metal fences. Keep up, I tell Lila as I try and move her down the driveway to the sidewalk. But Beth was right. She's not really good on the leash. When I want to go left, she tugs right. Half the time, she walks too slow. I feel like we're crawling along, and the other half, she goes so fast I think she's going to pull off my arm. When there's all the stopping to sniff the ground, sometimes she stops so suddenly that I end up being jerked backwards because of her. I guess that's one of the things I'm supposed to be training her on, though. Huh. There ain't a lot of people out here. It's midday in the summer and it's blazing hot. Anyone who ain't at work is probably sticking close to their air conditioning. Good. I like it better that way. With it just being me and Lila. Empty sidewalks, no one smiling at me or trying to chat, and I figure Lila feels the same. Despite what I told Miss McGraw, I do gotta be a little careful as I walk. I hate to admit it, but my eyes have gotten bad enough that I can't really see the ground when I'm looking straight ahead anymore. I gotta keep looking down at the sidewalk, keeping my eye out for roots that have wrapped the concrete or big cracks that might cause me to trip. And even then, I get smacked in the face by a few low-hanging branches a couple times. When my hairs get caught in one branch, I have to stop and untangle it. Lila stands next to me, looking at me with eyes I'm going to assume are full of judgment. This ain't my fault, I tell her as I yank my hair free. Who has trees this close to the sidewalk? My being able to see ain't got nothing to do with it. A second later, we round a corner, and I can hear voices and a few barking dogs. Lila and I both stop, and I turn my head to see what looks to be a large, fenced-in lot across the street. I can't make out much of what's going on there, but I suddenly remember Beth telling me there was a dog park about a block from her house. Big, booming barks and teeny, shrill yips are carrying my way by the summer breeze, along with laughter. Kids' laughter. Probably kids off school, like me, walking their pets, just like me. Next to me, Lila is staring at the dog park too, only she's letting out little growls while she does. You don't want to go over there, do you? I ask. Lila stops growling and looks up at me, and she whines. Yeah, me either, I tell her. But we both stay put, just standing on the sidewalk watching, or in my case, mostly listening, to the people and animals in the little park. I hear the creak and slam of the gate before I notice the girl. She's just stepped out of the dog park and is crossing the street toward Lila and me, a large, fluffy black dog in tow. I can't make out any details of her face, but I could tell she's kind of short with wavy, dark brown pigtails, and when she calls out to me, she sounds like she's probably pretty close to my age. Hi! She's about halfway across the street now, moving towards us. And her voice is real chipper, all excited and upbeat in a way that makes me take a step back. Cute dog you got there. Y'all heading to the park? I shake my head. She's getting closer, almost to us now, and Lila's starting to whine, tugging on her leash in the opposite direction. No, we're just walking. I ain't seen you before, the girl says. She's on the curb now, right near me, and her dog's got its tail wagging like crazy. You just moved here or something? Now that she's close, I can see that she's got a real big smile on. All her white teeth showing makes my stomach flip over. She wants to talk to me, to ask questions. She's gonna ask about why I'm here, about Mama, about why I can't see good, and I don't want to talk about any of that. Not to this stranger, this smiling girl. Not to Beth or my friends back in Tennessee. Not to anybody. Sorry, I gotta go. Oh, all right. See you later. I turn and start to move back toward the corner, and Lila dragging me along after her at top speed. She seems even more desperate to get away from the happy girl than I am. She pulls harder and harder, moving me faster. Too fast for my eyes to keep track of all the things I know I gotta watch out for. Everything blurs past us. I yank at Lila's leash, trying to get her to slow down, but she don't. She's too far gone now, practically running down the sidewalk like she's done forgot I'm even attached to her. Then my toe catches on a tree root that's pushing up through the sidewalk. I hadn't seen it coming, and I'm moving too fast to catch myself. For a split second, I'm airborne, both feet off the ground before I land hard on my chest, sliding a foot or so across the concrete. I feel the skin scrape off my knees just as Lila's leash jerks out of my hand, and Lila keeps running, like she ain't ever noticed what just happened. And all I can do is push myself up onto a kneeling position as I try and catch my breath. The first thing I think is, I hope that girl didn't see me. But when I look over my shoulder, the sidewalk behind me is empty. The girl must have gone the other way. But now I'm really alone, and I can't see Lila no more, and suddenly that's got me panicked. I clamber to my feet, knees aching, and start walking down the sidewalk calling her name. I gotta watch my feet to keep from falling again, which is hard because I still want to keep my eyes up as I hunt for the dang dog. Lila, I yell, Lila, come here, girl. But it's pointless. I know for everything Bess told me that Lila ain't gonna come when I call. She ain't trained. That's supposed to be my job, and I've barely worked on it at all. So now there's an unhappy, untrained dog on the loose, and it's all my fault. My heart's pounding, and my feet stumble as I try to walk faster, hoping to catch up to wherever she's gone. Lila, I call out again, even more desperate this time. What if something happened to her? The image of Lila running away from a stranger and right into the street flashes into my face. My stomach drops. If she gets hurt, it'll be all my fault. I keep walking, circling the block once and then twice and calling for her. I even stop and ask a few people on the street if they've seen a pit bull with a leash dragging behind her. But no one has. Enough time has passed that she could be anywhere in the neighborhood by now. This neighborhood I ain't familiar with at all. And when I'm trying to look for her, I can't keep my eyes on the ground. So I keep tripping over uneven bits of sidewalk or running into people's trash bins that haven't been pushed out far enough, which only makes me even more frustrated and upset. When my phone buzzes in my pocket, I have a foolish moment of thinking maybe someone is messaging me about Lila. Even though that don't make a lick of sense. Lila's caller has the phone number and address of Right Choice Rescue. If anybody found her, they would not be contacting me. Still, I feel a pang of disappointment when I realize it's just a notification. My friends have posted another picture and tagged me in the caption. It's a photo of Joey and Maya, their faces pressed together so they can both fit into the selfie. They're grinning from ear to ear, and Joey's red hair is long and falling over his face, and Maya's big, dark brown eyes are magnified by her thick, black-rimmed glasses. They look so goofy and happy. Maya Fairlady's post says, "We're leaving Gatlinburg this morning. Had a great time with baby kangaroo 42, which is Joey. Wish you were here with us, Hadley Bean. Miss you, XOXO." I shoved my phone back into my pocket, irrationally angry that they'd tag me in that right now, and I'm in the middle of trying to find Lila. I know that's silly. Ain't as if they know what's going on, but still, I wish they'd just stop tagging me altogether. All it does is remind me that I'm not there. That my face ain't squished behind theirs in that selfie. That even if they miss me, they're still having a good time without me while I'm miserable. I take another walk around the block before giving up. I'm not gonna find her. I'm gonna have to explain to Mrs. McGraw why I'm coming back with scraped knees and no dog, and she'll call Beth. Beth's gonna be so mad at me. That thought makes me more upset than I imagined it would. My feet drag and I choke back tears as I make my way back to Beth's house. My stomach hurts and there's this heaviness in my chest. I'm going over and over in my head that what I'm gonna say to Miss McGraw and then to Beth, but then I reach the front steps and still none of it sounds right. Just as I'm walking up to the door, I hear a quiet little bark. It's like the dog version of someone saying, "Psst." I freeze on the top step and look around, but I still don't see anything. Then I hear it again, coming from right behind me. I stumble down the steps and crouch, looking under the little porch. It takes me a minute to spot her. It's kind of dark there, but sure enough, I see Lila lying in the dirt, staring at me. I hold out my hand and she gets up, walking toward me with her head down like she knows she's done something wrong. I ain't mad, I tell her. My voice cracks on the words as I grab hold of her leash. I wrap it around my wrist, an extra bit of security just in case. Not at you, anyway. Come here. I take a seat on the steps and Lila flops down at my feet. I can feel tears starting to slip down my face. I was only barely holding them back before, and the sense of relief after that stress makes the dam break. Still, I can't shake the sensation of a heavy weight on my chest. You scared me, I tell her. If you hadn't come back here, Lila looks up at me, then lowers her head again, covering her face with one paw. It ain't all your fault. You shouldn't have run like that, but if I had a cane, I hate the thought, mostly because I know it's true. Mama's brought up the idea of me learning to use a cane a few times over the past year or so. And now that I'm here, Beth keeps bringing up the idea of orientation and mobility lessons. I've been saying no to that idea for so long, telling myself I'm all right, that I can see well enough to get by without any help. But if I'd had a cane today, I might have noticed that tree root. I might have been able to stop and hold on to Lila's leash. I reached down and scratched Lila behind the ears. I don't say nothing else for a while, but I think she knows exactly what I'm thinking. Things are going to have to change. The front door swings open behind me and Miss McGraw, gravelly voice, explains, "There you are! I was getting worried. Had half a mind to come looking for you. You weren't gone that long." "We weren't gone that long," I mutter, keeping my head down so she can't see that I've been crying. "Maybe not," Miss McGraw replies, "but after the way you left, well, never mind that now. Come on in. You can have some casserole for lunch." "Fine." Slowly I stand up and turn toward the door. "Oh, Hadley," Miss McGraw gasps. "Are those scraped knees? Did you fall?" "Bless your heart. Come on inside so we can get those cleaned up." I make eye contact with Lila. She looks around as tired as I feel. After a second, we both head inside. Even if things gotta change, everything that happened today can stay our secret. And that is chapter 5. Chapter 6. We'll read chapter 6. I'll be quick. Chapter 6. The doctors first told me I was losing my sight a couple years ago, but apparently it's been happening for a while before that, and it happened real slow, so I didn't hardly notice. I remembered walking out of the grocery store with Mama one night in the winter. The sun had set and the lights in the parking lot had come on, but Mama walks toward the car, pushing the grocery cart and expecting me to walk behind her. It hit me all of a sudden, and I couldn't see. I could see the headlights from cars pulling in and the glow of street lamps, sure, but they just looked like bright, gleaming spots surrounded by darkness. The lights were just little orbs of contrast, but they didn't actually light up anything around them for me. Later, the doctors would explain that this had something to do with how retinitis pigmentosa affects the rods and cones of my eyes, or something like that. But at that time, all I knew was that I used to be able to see in situations like this, and then I just couldn't, and I hadn't been able for a while. It wasn't scary. Not really, because my vision hadn't gone away all at once. It was more like I noticed the change all at once, even though I'd been gone for a long time. Like standing on the edge of that parking lot, I realized that a year or two before, I'd been able to see in places like this, even when it was dark. And the change that had happened so gradually, I didn't have a clue I'd stopped being able to see. The same thing was happening with space at the edges of my vision. I was having to turn my head more and move to see things out of the sides, stumbling over things I shouldn't have been able to see without looking down. So Mama took me to the eye doctor, who sent me to a fancier eye doctor who ran all sorts of tests before telling me I was going blind. I wasn't legally blind just yet, but I would be soon, and it would just keep getting worse from there. At first, I really didn't know what legally blind meant. But as far as I understand, it basically just means my eyes are bad enough that as far as the government or laws or whatever are concerned, I might as well be blind. Even though I can still see some. According to my doctor, most blind people actually do have some vision. It just ain't a whole lot. You know, Bean, Mama said one night last autumn, I've been thinking about something. We were walking out of the movie theater after seeing the newest Pixar movie. Back then, Mama liked to have girls' nights once a month, where we go to the movie or out for dinner or spend a couple hours at the mall together. Just the two of us. The movie theater had been dark, and it was dark outside now, so I was holding onto Mama's arm as she led the way to the car. Well, Mama said, with how things are going with your vision, I was thinking it might be a good idea to start looking into, I don't know, some classes maybe. Like you could learn to read Braille, or maybe we can find someone to teach you how to cook. The kind of things that might be hard once your eyes get worse. And I could look into you getting one of those white canes. I don't know a lot about it, but I could find out. I'm sure your school could work with me. Meh. I don't need any of that, I said. That's so? Yeah, I mean, I don't need Braille because I can still read all right. And I don't gotta learn to cook because you do that for me. Mama gave me a playful bop on the back of the head when I said that. I grinned up at her, even though I couldn't see her face too well in this lighting. It's true, I insisted, and as for the cane, I get around fine. Bean, you can't see real well right now, Mama pointed out. That's just because it's dark, I say. I'm fine during the day, and I ain't got no reason to go anywhere by myself at night. Don't say ain't, Hadley. Mama stopped next to the passenger side of the car and opened the door for me. Once I was inside, she shut the door behind before going around to her own seat and hopping in next to me. Seatbelt, please, she said, then continued with what we'd been talking about a second ago. And I know you don't go anywhere by yourself at night right now, but someday you're going to want to. You'll be in high school and you're not going to want to hold on to your mother's arm. Sure I will, I said. I won't even be embarrassed of you, Mama. I find that hard to believe, she said. She started the engine, but she didn't back out of the parking spot yet. I'm being serious, Hadley. I think some sort of classes, just to make sure you're prepared, could be good. I'm gonna do my best to teach you everything I can, but this is new for me too, Bean. I've never been blind, and I'm not sure how to teach you everything. I sigh. I'm okay, Mama. You can teach me fine. Do we gotta talk about this? I'm so afraid, Bean. She reached over and stroked the back of my head, her fingers sliding through my hair. Why are you so resistant to this? I don't know, I mumble. I guess I wouldn't mind learning to cook or something. But I don't want to use a cane. People will think it's weird and they'll laugh at me. What people? People, I say. People at school, my friends. Do you really think Joey or Maya would think you were weird for using a cane if it helped you? No, or maybe. I don't know. I don't think they would, Bean, Mama assured me, and if they did, they aren't that kind of friends you deserve. Even if they don't, other people will. Oh, Hadley, Mama sighed as she leaned across the center console and wrapped her arm around my shoulders. I wish I could tell you nobody will be jerks or laugh or say mean things, but I can't promise that. What I can promise you is that the people who do laugh are the ones with the problem, not you. And they won't be worth a bit of your time. I shrugged, because I knew she was right, that those people would just be jerks, but I wasn't sure what mattered. Who cared? Who cared who'd be laughing at me if there were people laughing at all? I can also tell you that if it's being laughed at that you're worried about, a lot more people would laugh at you for having your mama around in high school or college than if you used a cane, she said. But now there was a note of tense in her voice. I'm sure glad you aren't embarrassed of me. I love that you're still willing to hold my hand in public, but you won't always want to be next to me, and I'm not always going to be able to be there for you. I want to know when you're still safe when I'm not there. I guess. I'll tell you what, she said, pulling away from me and leaning back into her own seat. We don't have to do anything right now, but I'll start looking into classes and stuff, figuring out how it all works, and then we could talk about it again. Maybe we get a good start on this when you're in 7th grade. That way, you'll have all sorts of time to get set for high school. You'll be able to go out with your friends without me tagging along, and hey, if you learn Braille, you could teach Maya and Joey, and y'all could send little coded messages. Maybe, I said. If that's as close to a yes that I'm getting for now, I'll take it, she said as she pulled out of the movie theater parking lot. We'll put this on hold for a moment. In the meantime, how does some ice cream sound? I'm feeling like a trip to Dairy Queen is in order. Truth was, the idea of starting high school using a cane sounded awful, but I knew Mama had a point. Still, I didn't want to deal with it right now then. I wanted to put it off as long as possible, and without knowing it, I got my wish. It wasn't long after that the calls from the lawyers started, and Mama got all distant and upset. She didn't look into those classes, or if she did, she forgot to talk to me about it. And I tried to forget, too, to pretend I didn't need any of it. Even though she'd been right, she wasn't always going to be there to hold my hand. She isn't here right now, after all. And that is the end of chapter 5. Oh, chapter 6. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next week. And I miss you all. I'll see you soon.